We are at the circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the start of today's qualifying session. It won't be long now until we're ready to join the action down at trackside. Spain is one of those tracks that can create unexpected results, so it's very difficult to know who might be strong here in today's qualifying.
If you can put together an efficient package with a good compromise between downforce and straight line speed, you can catch the other teams out here, just like Pastor Maldonado did back in 2012. Ferrari have a good track record at this circuit, but my money is on Mercedes to have a strong qualifying session here today.
Hey guys, how's it going? Onich here and welcome to a new F1 2015 or 2015 career mode on the channel. And the ship strands here right now in Circuit de Catalunya is being beautifully announced or introduced, I should say, by David Croft and Anthony Davidson. So coming here after Bahrain, which was somewhat of a disappointing race, but this track is one of my favorites on the calendar, and I definitely had the feeling that we could perform pretty well here. So into qualifying right now, starting to do the low fuel run here at the moment, and on my very first lap, doing a 125.1 so far. But surely we can improve on that with this lower fuel run towards the end of the session, which I always do. So far a decent lap, could have been better, could have been worse. Two DRS zones around this track, this is one of them. As we approach the final sector, we are currently half a second down on Hamilton, who's on pole position with a 123.6. So that is quite a quick lap, but maybe we should be able to get into the 23s as well. Depends on the final sector here, as I had a lot of oversteer there. 2 times stepping with the wheel before turning into that right kink. Here as well, twice a step with the wheel. Not a great final sector at all. So I can surely improve. And there's time left also for an improvement. There's about 1 minute left. Opening up the DRS here for a second run then. As I do a 124.6. So disappointing final sector. Losing another 4 tenths. So not great at all. We're currently up to P5 though. Because obviously, as always, Mercedes has a big margin. Going a bit deep into the first quarter. But that's what I did the last lap as well. And I was still fastest of fastest compared to Hamilton in that first sector. Let's see what we can do this time. 22.8, and that is another 100th quicker than Hamilton at this stage. But it's about the middle and the final sector here. Need to nail this. It seems like there is gap for improvement, especially in that final sector. Bit deep into that corner, but getting away with it, although maybe costing me a tenth or so. Over here, nicely over the curb, get hard on the power, not track extending. Very easy to do that around this track, but you do need to pay attention. Hitting the DRS board over there. Opening up the DRS though, didn't cost me a lot of time. In fact, I'm 10th up. A 10th on my time at the moment, so looking for a 24.5. But obviously I made a mistake in this final sector. I'm sure I can improve, so let's try to do that coming through this section. Trying to get hard on the power. A little bit of a lift there. Otherwise I would have track extended. That went quite well, and then here it is so important, this chicane. 2 steps with the wheel, but seems like it's better actually than it was before, on the previous lap. So surely this should be an improvement, and as we head to the start-finish line, and it is only a 24.6. So in fact it was half a tenth slower. Well, I was a tenth up before. I was a tenth up at the end of the second sector, starting the third sector, and for some reason I just lost 1.5 tenths there. Which is something I still can't understand, because it looked better, but sometimes when it looks better, it's not exactly the case. As I think Vettel had a 5-place grid penalty, if I saw it right there.
Welcome to Catalunya, home of the Spanish Grand Prix. The cars are on the grid, and the crowd's excitement is building. Ahead of lights out. On pole today is Lewis Hamilton. The Mercedes was dominant during qualifying, and with the power unit advantage, well, you just can't see anybody challenging for that race win today.
He's definitely going to be difficult to beat today, but anything can happen, so we'll have to keep a close eye on how this unfolds over the course of the race.
The last Grand Prix saw Mercedes post their best performance of the year. They had a really strong outing, and we'll be hoping for more of the same today.
Both drivers look really happy with how the car performed all weekend. This is a different track with different demands though, and I think they won't find it easy to repeat that result here today.
So indeed 4th position there after Vettel dropped out with a 5-place grid penalty strategy over here. Well, bit of a scrappy lap for qualifying. Definitely did expect to improve, to be honest, in that final run. But I didn't, and so it's P4. What will be very important at the start of the race here is to keep up with those Mercedes guys in front. If we can do that, I think we have a good chance at least getting on the podium, or maybe even more, as we already had the race start. And as always, not that great of a start. Already lost position to Bottas. Ricciardo on the inside here for the first turn. Breaking the one on leaderboard. Down to the gears. Third gear at the moment, giving Bottas a slight tap there from behind. As Ricciardo's on the outside, bit of oversteer there. Luckily managing to keep it on track, not much of contact with Ricciardo, and able to stick it round the outside here of Ricciardo into turn 3. And it seems like Ricciardo is too far back to do an attack here in turn 4. Make sure that the brake light go deep into the corner, but that's all normal. Trying to defend from Ricciardo. Lost the place though at the start. It's exactly what I did not want. Going deep here as well. Struggling at the moment to find some kind of rhythm with the heavy fuel load. Taking a bit too much curb over there, cutting the track. But as I said, lost the position to Bottas and struggling to get into the flow at the moment. But well, the flow can not be there, but you know, one corner you have it right, that's where the flow can start. But usually for me that takes a few corners, but seems like it's going quite a bit better now. Able to stick with Bottas throughout the ending of the lap. Even closing him down. Here we see it as well, getting closer and closer. And obviously he is driving that Mercedes powered car, which will be very hard to pass down the straight here. You know, especially when, that's the word I was looking for, especially when DRS is not enabled yet. But going up to rich mixture, Bottas not picking up as much slipstream from Raikkonen as I thought. And so I'm on the inside of Bottas for turn 1 and gaining that place back. Quite a straightforward move down the inside of the first turn, able to make the apex, and then Bottas had no answer. Skipping to the end of lap 2, opening up lap 3 at the moment, not a lot happened. Currently behind Raikkonen was in third place, but the problem is at the moment that the Mercedes are in front and pulling away from us, so that's not good for us obviously. And as I said, if I can stick with those guys at the beginning of the race, I might have a chance, but at the moment they are going away with it and I have to do something about it. But at the same time, there is one person who is still there as a buffer, and that is Raikkonen, so I need to deal with Raikkonen as soon as possible. Get into clean air and try to close down on those Mercedes guys in front. Maybe even hope that they are going to start battling, and maybe that will slow them down. But first, you know, let's take it step by step. We need to overtake Raikkonen first if possible. It's only lap 3 out of 33, so well, only 1/11 of the race distance has been covered at the moment. About 8 or 9%. Not a lot at all, obviously. It's still a long race. Opening up the DRS here, DRS obviously enabled this lap. Not really closing down that much on Raikkonen down that little back straight, but that is not what you can expect. As I said, it's not a long back straight, it's a little back straight, so usually you don't see the majority of the overtaking going on over there. It's mainly down that start-finish straight, but that is pretty obvious. But again, closing down on the car in front of me in that final sector and right on the gearbox as we come up to the chicane. Few steps with the wheel again. I just try to make sure that I don't cut the corner. It's so easy to do that, and so easy to gain time by doing that as well. As we are down the main straight right now, opening up lap 4, and DRS has been opened. Raikkonen obviously not having DRS, and look at the speed advantage I just get from that. Unbelievable. Down the inside of Raikkonen and already, well, passed way before the corner even, so I can even go back to the normal racing line and brake normally, so no issues there. And getting up to P3, which is a podium spot, but I want more. You know, it's lap 4 of the race. Let's see what we can do. Let's try to push to the maximum, and then we can find out what our pace is like now in clean air as well. 2.2 seconds to Rosberg. Important as well to try to pull away from Raikkonen. If Raikkonen is still in our mirrors, that's gonna, you know, maybe lose us some time while we battle with him. It's always nice to have, you know, a clean mirror, if you know what I mean. It's a bit more confident. Gives a bit more confidence. Can relax a little bit more. And that is good. 2.2 was the gap before to Rosberg. It's now 2.6, so gaining 4/10 in that middle sector. That is not good news for us, obviously. Final sector though, that's the point where I seem to make up a bit of time compared to the AI car. So let's see whether it's the case as well here. Nailing that curb, now coming to the chicane again. Make sure that you don't cut it, and that was a cut. Too much over the curb. We'll get away with that this time. Rich mixture from this main straight. That's basically the fuel schedule I'm running, if you could call it a schedule. Rich down the start-finish straight. Then pretty much standard for the rest of the lap, apart from after turn 3. You'll see this lap, I believe. Which makes it for this main straight as we are closing down the gap to Rosberg. It's only 1.3 in lap 8, but those guys are rather close to each other, so they must be battling, and Hamilton may be even holding up Rosberg, who knows. It's definitely playing into our hands though, as I think I'm going up to rich mixture here again. Yep. So that's basically the fuel layout for this track. Try to stick to that as much as possible during a race. That gives a bit of consistency, but only, you know, when I feel like I have too much fuel left or I'm running out of fuel, I change that fuel, you know, schedule or layout, depending on what you want to call it. It's just one, you know, one strategy I use for fuel. That's pretty much it during a lap. Maybe even here up to rich mixture sometimes, depending on the fuel, how much I've got left. As the engineer is saying, pit in 7 tenths only, the gap to Rosberg now, so gaining a lot of time on him. It seems actually like that I am stronger towards the end of the stint here with more worn tires. That is fantastic news for us. We are battling for a race victory here at the moment. Let's have a look first though whether any of these guys are going to pit. As you see, closing these guys right down even more towards the end, and now I am part of this group, definitely. Look at the Mercedes traction though on the exit of the chicane. Absolutely flawless. It means I can't do a lot down this start-finish straight. I can sit back, pick up some slipstream from Rosberg. Obviously, Rosberg picks up slipstream from Hamilton as well, as Rosberg goes on the inside for the first turn, side by side and into here. And can we capitalize on it? That's the question. Bit of oversteer there though, so I have to back out of it. But Hamilton being very slow on the apex there. That was more or less of an avoiding maneuver. And now slow on the exit as well of turn 3, heading into the inside for turn 4. And taking him on the inside. So up to P2. And Hamilton dropping 2 positions in the space of 1 sector. You can see how much fire there is right now in my driving style as well. Very feisty, very aggressive. Especially with the power delivery. So far it's working out pretty well though. And I can be aggressive right now because I'm not gonna have to use these tires for a lot longer. I expect to pit in this lap or maybe even next lap, depending on what Rosberg is going to do, I guess a bit as well. But Hamilton instantly dropping off as well by a few tenths. 6 tenths is the gap to Rosberg, 2 tenths the gap to 6 tenths the gap to Hamilton, excuse me, 2 tenths the gap to Rosberg. So Hamilton not able to stick with us at the moment on these worn tires. And again, look at this, so much quicker than Rosberg. Oh, I could even, you know, maybe have gone for the inside there. That's how slow those guys are at the moment. I have the pace on them at the moment. Or am I going to stay out? No, I'm not. Bit of a messy pit entry, has to be said, as I had to slam on the brakes. Otherwise I would hit Rosberg. That means I fell back into the clutches of Hamilton. And Hamilton is going to have to wait though. This is not smart from the Mercedes pit crew, obviously. Hamilton is going to have to wait while Rosberg is getting his new tires fit. So not a great call from Mercedes at all. Presumably we are going to end up behind Rosberg. Yes, we are. The question is by how much of a gap, obviously. And are we going to end up in clean air? Well, the question is... probably not, as there's a car flying by on the left hand side. That's Kvyat. So lap 10 of the race, exiting the pits. And again on that same tire compound. Rosberg being so slow here, look at that. Just like Hamilton a bit, slowing down massively for turn 3. Obviously cold tires, and it allows me to get right on the back again of him. The time I lost before entering the pit lane, gained it all back in the space of 2 corners pretty much. Being nicely behind him here. Tires are starting to warm up a bit, so we should get some nice grip. And Hamilton fell behind Button, that's for sure, but maybe he fell back even further, who knows. Rosberg definitely the biggest threat in this race for us so far. Obviously we haven't led yet the race at a single point, so well, that's a bit of a concern, but at the same time our pace has been really good towards the end there. I'm really glad that it turned out to be great, because it's going to give us a huge shot at maybe getting a victory here. As I said, Rosberg being the one we need to look out for, and saying that I'm on the inside of Rosberg here, who had a really slow getaway out of that little hairpin side by side into the chicane. That's not going to work though. I'm going to have to back out of that, as Rosberg had the inside line for that corner. But Rosberg definitely, you know, having to be on his toes, as we have DRS on him. Rosberg having DRS as well, which compromises the effect we are going to have. Nonetheless though, pulling on the inside, and a straightforward move, just like Raikkonen, you know. The same kind of move we made on Raikkonen, getting past even before the corner, despite Rosberg having the RS. And so we are leading this race, which is fantastic to see. But can we also pull away from Rosberg right now? That is the next step, obviously. I'm gonna try to push very hard. The great thing is that we have quite a bit of an advantage in the third sector, where you know, it was quite a that's quite interesting actually. It was quite a weak point from ours during the qualifying, but over here in a race, it seems like we have quite a bit of an advantage over the opposition or the whole competition in the third sector. Sorry. As I said, quite interesting to see that. But what is great about that is that, you know, that is the sector before the start-finish straight and that massive DRS zone. So I can pull away a little bit in this final sector, create a little bit of a buffer between, you know, myself and the car behind. And thanks to that, those guys are most likely not going to get by. And Hamilton, in the end, even dropped behind Raikkonen. You can see it on the minimap. Raikkonen is that third dot, and behind him is, well, quite closely Hamilton. So it's really a battle between Rosberg and ourselves at the moment, unless Hamilton can get past Raikkonen quickly, or unless Raikkonen picks up the pace. Purple lap though, 125.1. Have we ever set a purple lap in our career mode? I have no idea. Maybe not. Maybe that was the first time, showing that it's going quite well this race. Lap 20 though, making a huge cut forwards. Hamilton got past Raikkonen, and we are currently in the 27, so the tires are definitely dropping, but that's not really that weird. We are coming towards the end of the session here, as I said, lap 20, and we should be pitting in this lap. Rosberg's still behind us though, so I haven't really been able to pull away from Rosberg. That gap has been staying at about 1 second the whole time, and that is pretty much it. Rosberg just too far back to attack, but he is there in our mirrors, you know. Whoa, a bit of oversteer there. Need to be careful that I don't lose the car at the moment. That would be horrible if I do that. We're finally leading this race. We have a good shot at taking home the first victory of the season, but we do need to deliver it, obviously. We do need to deliver the car, the performance, and bring it home. Towards the end here, I'm starting to struggle with tire wear. You can see that I've been pushing very hard. And thanks to that, the tires are in a bit of a bad shape at the moment, losing 1.5 seconds alone in that second sector, and the gap to Rosberg suddenly being 3/10. So it looks like I'm going to pit this lap, fit the prime tire, and then go for another 13 laps on them. And hopefully that's good enough to keep Rosberg behind. Let's have a look what the Rosberg is going to do though. Is he going to pit this lap as well? And also, what is Hamilton going to do now that he has clean air, of course? 3.2 seconds is the gap between Rosberg and Hamilton at the moment. Don't count Hamilton out yet. Coming into the pit lane over here, and the AI taking over control, hitting the pit wall actually. That was not very smart. And Hamilton also in. So Hamilton is going to lose another couple of seconds. Yes, it does look like. Another poor call by the Mercedes crew. We are coming into the pit lane though. It's crucial for us to obviously stay ahead of Rosberg. But are we going to stay ahead of Rosberg? The answer is no. It's a 2.6 second stop for us, which isn't too bad. But Rosberg was just too close to us when entering the pit lane. And that means Rosberg retakes the lead of this Grand Prix as Raikkonen now flies by. And we have a little bit of a glitch here. This is a glitch with the game where it just, you know, it puts you down into second gear. But we have to open up the attack on Rosberg again as he just breaks. This is stupid behavior by the AI on the cold tires, to be honest. They just slam on the brakes on the run down from turn 2 to turn 3, which is a very little run, obviously. But yeah, that is not smart. Not smart from the AI. A bit of a bug there. But well, coming back to this race, most importantly, we are now behind Rosberg. And you obviously saw Raikkonen flying by, but Raikkonen is yet to stop. So Raikkonen lost a lot of time over the course of the previous stint. But straight away, as I said, opening up the attack on Rosberg into rich mixture over here down this little straight, back to standard. Having a little look on Rosberg, but he does not snap, although it goes a bit deep into there. Nothing too major though, he has it all under control obviously with the fresh tires as well. Now is the time to get close to him, otherwise he might pull away. We need to stay with Rosberg, don't let him escape. I was so close to getting a win. But I really want it right now as well, because I feel like it is possible. And when it's possible, you just should grab the opportunity and the chance with both hands. Rosberg having a good run once again on the exit of the chicane. Up to rich mixture. Look at that speed in that Mercedes car. They're opening up the DRS right now and he's still pulling away. Rosberg having immense speed at the moment. And this is right now the time to push so hard because I cannot afford to let Rosberg go away. Braking rather late there, making the apex nicely though. Fresh tires, obviously a bit of oversteer there as I touch the curb, coming down to turn 3 here. Bit of a lift in the corner itself, very wide on the exit. They're just trying to maximize everything the track has to offer. But I'm feeling that Rosberg could pull away here. I need to stick with him. 6/10 is the gap. And it seems like he is pulling away at the moment. But as I said, I can't make that happen. I need to stick with him in order to get that victory, as Raikkonen is still staying out. So maybe Raikkonen went with a prime tire, with the prime tire in the middle stint. That could well be a possibility, as Raikkonen is right now into the pit lane. So probably Raikkonen on the opposite tire for the final stint as we open up lap 24. Staying with Rosberg, and in fact Rosberg having, well, some kind of issue down the straight here. Maybe not using rich mixture, or the ERS is not fully charged. But we are getting back into the lead of this race nonetheless, and that is great to see. So I was able to stick with Rosberg there. We have a back marker in front of us, that's Will Stevens obviously. Able to stick with Rosberg. Put the, reeled him in a little bit down the third sector as always. And then get past, and Will Stevens is right now doing an awesome job at keeping Rosberg behind, to be honest. Look in the mirror. And he goes into the pit lane. So instantly that created a few tenths and also a little bit of a buffer obviously. Skipping to the end of lap 25 and we see our teammate up the road. Rosberg then close behind us. You can see that the prime tire doesn't give as much grip as the soft tire through that turn 3. It just doesn't cope with the heavy load of turn 3 as well as the soft tires, who have a lot more grip. Despite the hard tire obviously having a higher pressure. Which at the same time could mean as well that it handles the load. It gets a bit better in high speed corners as we hit the back of Perez there. Back markers again doing an awesome job here in this game. It has to be said. There were a few patches though. I think I had this race a few weeks ago, so it was quite in the early stages of the game, that's for sure. It has had a few patches. And I think the game has improved here and there a little bit, but still, it's just a shame to see the back markers sometimes being stupid. But it's not necessarily the back markers. Also, just when battling against another driver, you saw it with Rosberg. Just when he had the cold tires, as it go all over the curb there. When he had the cold tires, just braking for turn 3, massively. Well, it wasn't necessary. However, we are skipping towards the end of lap 28 and going to open up lap 29, and Rosberg is still behind us by how much? By 1.2 seconds, so he is outside of our DRS zone, but he is quite close to getting it, and that is a bit of a worry. 4 more laps to go. It does look like we should be able to pull this one home. I mean, we have to. We can't afford a mistake right now. Let's have a look here during this lap. All stable so far. 6 tenths down though in one sector alone. And that is a lot. So these tires are definitely starting to wear. Hamilton hasn't really been a threat in this race anymore, since he was stuck behind Raikkonen, but also was a bit compromised obviously during his pit stop. But having a look at Rosberg behind, yes, the grip, look in the mirror, you can see visually that he closed in a little bit on the apex of that fantastic right hand corner, goes a bit off the hill, and straight away he's definitely within the DRS zone, 6 tenths only. And that means we may have a fight in our hands here for the final 4 laps, although having said that, during the final couple of laps of the previous stint, I was also able to keep Rosberg away by about 6, 7, maybe 8 tenths every lap, and he just couldn't get closer than that, despite having DRS. So maybe it's the same story here. It does look like it at the moment, because Rosberg is too far behind. I go defensive here, make sure that he doesn't pick up the slipstream. Obviously he has DRS, that is just inevitable. But look in the mirrors, he is getting closer and closer, but just not close enough. I have the kind of gap I exactly need. In fact, so that Rosberg can't get past at the moment, similar to, as I said, to the previous stint, where Rosberg was the whole time just 8 tenths behind. Opening up the final lap of the race here, 5 tenths is the gap to Rosberg, but he can't do anything again. I go defensive, make sure he's out of my slipstream, and so we open up the final lap, and hopefully, and surely I should say as well, this should be our first win of the season. Would be great around this track. As I said, it's definitely one of my favorites on the calendar. Very flowing track, lots of Long corners. Quite high speed corners as well. I don't like the final chicane they have added. It is there since 2007 or 8, I think. That little chicane in the final sector. I like the old layout a lot more, to be honest. Funny how, you know, one, you know, little section can have so much impact on the track, to be honest. But nonetheless, it's still a fantastic track to drive on. Can we keep Rosberg behind for the final sector as well? You would say yes, it's a relatively short run to the line. So that is very good for us. What we break ourselves into this corner. Tires are starting to give up, and so that allows Rosberg to get a little bit closer. But you know, this is not really an overtaking zone, even though we overtook Rosberg right on the inside here. The AI doesn't have the balls to do that at the moment, and luckily we have the speed to prevent that as well. So it does look like we will pick up our first win. It has been 5 rounds, but we pick up our first win of the season in Catalunya, in Spain, in Barcelona. And that's a fantastic result for us, obviously. Engineer being happy. And this is fantastic for the championship as well. This is exactly the kind of result I needed after Bahrain in order to you know, be up there again and catch the leaders, because surely, you know, and obviously we want to fight for this championship. It is possible. We finish on the podium regularly. It's just the Mercedes guys, you know, they will always be on the podium unless they have a mechanical failure, pretty much. They are so dominant, and we seem to be the only one who could stop them during this season. First place then. Fantastic results for us. And there it is, confirmed. 8 tenths in the end in front of Rosberg. Hamilton being 10 seconds further behind with our first win. And it is obviously fantastic. So that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Second in the championship. Just 9 points away from Hamilton, splitting the Mercedes guys. I'm happy with that. If you have enjoyed the video, I would appreciate a like. And that's pretty much it. See you next time.